Yes, mga kaibigan, isang maganda na namang umaga, tanghali na pala. Sa inyong lahat, kamusta naman kayo dyan? Welcome sa Pogi Problems ngayong umagang ito. Kamusta naman kayo lahat, mga kaibigan? Woo! Yes. Ano, kamusta ang inyong mga pinagkakaabalahan? Episode 13 na tayo ng ating Pogi Problems. Kamusta kayo dyan? Yes. Kamusta dyan? Mga kaibigan, ba't parang napakababa naman? Misa kasi tumataas, umaano yung ano ko eh. Ayusin nga natin tong camera. Yan, para makita yung akin napakalaking ulo. Share muna tayo ng ating live stream ngayong araw nito kasi hindi tayo naka-share sa ating mga Facebook pages. Tinetesting natin kung totoo ba ito sinasabi lang pwede tayo mag-live via Twitter. Good morning. Ayun, pwede nga tayo mag-live. Live tayo sa Twitter. Okay pala to, no? For the first time, nakapag-live tayo sa Twitter. Yay! Kamusta sa ating mga kasama, mga kaibigan? How are you guys? Lalo sa mga followers natin dyan sa Twitter. Kamusta kayo? How are you guys? Ito nakalagay ng Pogi Problems episode 13. Hindi lang ba yung nakalagay sa ano ko? Hindi man lang hinabaan no? Ganun lang yung tinweet nila. So, anyway, ayan, live tayo mga kaibigan. How are you guys? Yan, share lang tayo. Siguro, repeat natin ulit ito. So, please. We are now live. No paran de mirarnos, dame un beso tuyo, beso, pa' que ellos no paren de envidiarnos. Cuando se enteren que eres mía, se van a morder. Con lo nuestro nadie va a poder. Yo seré tuyo. Isip natin mga kaibigan. Ayan. Nakikita naman. Yes. Kamusta mga kaibigan? Anong balita sa radyo? Paano ba itong live sa Twitter? Ayun, ganun pala yun. First time natin, hindi natin alam na nakakapag-live na pala sa Twitter. Good morning sa inyo. Hi, good morning sa iyo, Joshua Pabro. Yeah, Joshua J. Pabro Navarra. Good morning. Morning pa lang. 11:33 pa lang. Good morning pa lang. Hanggang mamadaliin ang ating araw sapagkat good morning pa lang naman mga kaibigan. No? Ayan, ang background natin siyempre ay reggae song. Ayan. Hello, Aaron Aldunya. Good morning sa iyo. Bakit di ko nakita sa... Ayan, ngayon lang pala. You know. Good morning sa iyo. Ay, well, you're welcome. Oo, morning pa naman. Morning pa. Siguro mukhang paggising mo, akala mo ay afternoon. Late ka na siguro natutulog, no? Ikaw talaga. Anong ginagawa mo sa gabi? Joke. Share natin sa ating page muna. Ayan. Share natin ang ating Pogi Problems. Episode 13 na tayo. Ano ba mga problema ngayon? Yan, syempre, papatugtog tayo ng ating NCS na reggaeton. Yan. Sabihin, hindi tayo maka-Pilipino kasi mahirap na mahirap pa magpatugtog. Baka tayo ay ma-block na naman ni paring Facebook. Hindi tayo ma-block ni paring Facebook, no? Yeah. Good morning. Magandang araw. Siyempre, Miyerkules na, mga kaibigan. Yes. Miyerkules na ang huling week ng Oktobre. Sa mga susunod naman ay December na. Ano daw, nanonood ng batibot. Pero pa rin batibot. Pinayatan batibot yun. Ming Eusebio, kinig ka. Sino si Ming Eusebio? Asawa ba yan ni Eusebio ng taga Pasig? Alam mo, pag-uusapan natin, nakalimutan ko na tuloy yung mga pag-uusapan natin. Ayan, register na po para makaboto. Hanggang 30 lang pala. Tingnan ko nga kung hanggang kailan. Ito, tingnan natin. Kasi nakalagay, akala ko hanggang October 31. Pero check natin mga kasama kung hanggang kailan ang ating voters registration. Ayan. Ayun, October 30 lang. So wag niyo po kung nagkamali tayo doon ha. Hanggang October 30 lang po. So 27 na ngayon mga kaibigan. 2 araw na lang ay deadline na ng voters registration. Kaya sa mga hindi pa po nakakapagparehistro, magparehistro na po kayo. Ano ba naman yan? Register to vote mga kaibigan. Ayan ha. Commission on Elections has agreed to extend voter registration from original September 30 deadline to October 30. Kaya rehistro din pag may time. Ha? Yan, kaibigan. Okay. May message tayo. Todos los estoy ignorándolo mientras yo te susurro al oído. Amorlo lento otra vez. Soy tan tipo fuck lo que digan. Yo solo te diré. Si que te descontrola ahora. Dile a tu mujer que se joda. Que anda conmigo tú no andas sola. Trata tu razonarte. Pa' apreciarte la invito a toa. Dile a tu mujer que se joda. Que anda conmigo tú no andas sola. Trata tu razonarte. Pa' apreciarte. No le digo una sola se despiste. Dile un día que siga el otro no pa' que se despiste. Me dieron esto el elixir, corazón negro como su lipstick. Quiero que todas tú te toques, tú eres la del fluja. En la casa sola saca el pumper y con la hierba que hay. Que se joda mujer poker, dile que tú eres mi mayo. Que sola que te toque y fue el cielo se le cae. Y dile que tú mandas lo dami kailangan gawin mga kaibigan. Siyempre ganyan talaga pag tayo ay nandito sa kalagayang ito. Ayan. Ay, may tumatawag. Sandali lang. Naka-live tayo. Sandali lang. Paano ko ba ito i-cancel? Yo sé quién te descontrola ahora. Dile a su bobo que se joda. Que andas conmigo tú no andas sola. Yo que tú eres un arte pa' pensarte, baby, toda. Dile a su bobo que se joda. Ayan siya mga kaibigan. Naghahanda na ang ating mga kababayan. Mga tatakbo sa eleksyon. Ano sabi ni yung plano ni Kiko at Lenny. Actually, ayaw kong pag-usapan yung mga ganyan. Hindi tayo nagdi-discuss ng mga anti or against masyado sa mga kandidato. Kasi naniniwala naman tayo, mga kaibigan, na lahat naman ay may karapatang mamuno at kailangan na lang siguro tingnan yung kanilang mga nagawa na, gagawin pa at ginagawa sa kasalukuyan. Hindi ko tinatawaran yung kakayahan ni Bongbong Marcos na mag-lead. Ayaw ko rin naman pag-usapan yung kakayahan ni Lenny at saka ni Kiko na mag-lead. Kasi kaibigan Joshua, in fairness to Lenny Robredo, despite yung mga ginawa sa kanya, pagtatanggal sa kanya sa kabinete, pagbabawas ng budget, kung ano-ano pang iba, ay naagawa pa rin siya ng mga gandang bagay sa ating bayan. Nakatulong pa rin siya, nakapag-provide ng assistance sa ating COVID pandemic, sa ating mga sinasalanta ng bagay, marami pang iba. So, I would really applaud her effort to really be a functional vice president to our country. So, hindi matatawaran yan. Ayaw kong sabihin na pangit yung kanyang ginawa. Ganun din naman si si Senator Kiko Pangilinan na marami rin naman nagawa para sa ating bayan. So lahat naman ng tumatakbo na yan ay may mga kwalifikasyon, may mga nagawa. Even si BBM, no, nung siya ay senador, ay napakarami niyang House bills na pinail at sayang nga lang at hindi ito naaprubahan kasi marami sa mga House bills ay talaga namang para rin sa ating kalikasan. Ayan, ayan. Tingnan natin mga kaibigan. Actually, meron siyang website, ang bongbongmarcos.com. In fairness, tingnan natin to, maganda. Meron siyang legislative. Nung senador siya. Pakita natin mga kaibigan, in fairness naman sa kanya, no? Ayan, pakita natin. Share natin ang ating screen mga kaibigan. In fairness kay ito yung kanyang mga plano sa environment. Papakita naman natin, no? Ayan, in fairness, meron siyang Senate Bill number 2885, which is the Climate Change Education Act of 2011. It makes it mandatory for the Commission on Higher Education to include a subject on climate change as part of the curriculum in college and university courses. The bill was filed so that the youth would understand the significance of climate change. So very laudable, very laudable to mga kaibigan. Kasama na yung Pag-asa Modernization Act, Philippine Green Building Act, Bicycle Commuters Incentives Act of 2013. Diba? Ito yan. Regulating the use of plastic bags. Inquiry on the environmental sustainability of the cement industry. Nakikita niyo naman. Check natin. Meron pang sa legislative agenda niya, Senator, sa energy, ayan. Ayan, meron siyang stand na for renewable energy. So, he continues quest for energy sufficiency by filing Senate Bill number 2593, or the bill sought to create a hydrogen and research development that would study the use of hydrogen as an alternative source of fuel energy. Diba? Talagang in all fairness to Bongbong Marcos, meron siyang mga hindi na nato kasama. Legislative lang tinitingnan natin. Congressman siya. House bills, tingnan natin kung by environment. Wala naman. Tingnan lang natin yung environmental ayan, housing, OFWs. So ito lang yung sa environment ulit. Ayan, very laudable naman. So I would say na meron namang pananaw din ang iba pang kandidato tungkol dun sa BBM, sa kalikasan, sa environment. Meron din naman yung ating sinamahan, mga kaibigan, na Partido Lakas ng Masa. So, meron din tayong 25-point agenda ng laban ng masa. Kaya tayo rin ay nakiisa sa Partido Lakas ng Masa. Kasi napakaliwanag po nung kanilang 25 agenda na may kinalaman sa kalikasan, no? Check natin, papakita natin, no? Check natin. Ito mga kaibigan, papakita natin kung bakit tayo ay nakiisa naman sa kampanya din ni Nakalyodi at ng laban Partido Lakas ng Masa. Ito mga kaibigan, i-share natin sa inyo ito. So tayo po naman ay bukod din sa mga welfare sector programs na tayo naman po ay nakikita. Maliwanag din po dito. For example, yung number 20 is phasing out of all coal-fired power plants. Ayan, All corn-fired power plants begin a swift and just transition out of all fossil fuel energy and into democratic, renewable, and clean energy system. Put in place a strict program of taxing carbon emission. So kasama po yan sa ating plataformang sinusulong, mga kapogi. No? Ito rin po, carry out the Philippines' fair share of urgent climate actions to address the escalating climate crisis, empower people to deal with its impacts and pursue just solution. Kasama rin dito ang put in place a program of ecological restoration of land, forest, inland bodies of water, and ocean. Initiate a program of reindustrialization using trade and industrial policy with ecologically sustainable product technology. So yung mga yan, no, 2021, 22, 23 ay napakahalaga po sa ating naging desisyon nga na samahan ang Partido Lakas ng Masa o PNM na nandun tayo ngayon. Kami tayo mga kapogi. So nakikiisa po tayo sa mga plataforma ito ng Lakas ng Masa. Kasama po Partido Lakas ng Masa, Pwersa, LGBTQ, Pwersa Riders Club, Pwersa Women, Pwersa Youth, Rights, Samahan ng Progresibo Kabataan o SPARK, Sanlakas, Solidarity of Unions in the Philippines for Empowerment and Reform, SUPER, Teachers Dignity Coalition, at Zone 1 Tondo Organization or SOTO. Ayan. So yan mga kaibigan, ang pinagkakaisa naman natin na talaga namang mahalaga na ang sinasamahan natin ay may malinaw na plataforma po sa kalikasan at sa environment. Kasi yan talaga naman ang ating desisyon kung bakit tayo ay nakiisa at makikihalahok sa halalang ito. No? Yan mga kaibigan, isa pa pong pag-uusapan natin ay yun namang karanasan ko sa Climate Reality Leadership for Training. Ayan. Ayan. Share ko sa inyo ulit yung sa screen. So, siyempre, last week ay tayo po ay nag-undergo, 2 weeks mo ito, we undergo a training called the Climate Reality Leadership Core Training. So, duman po tayo, 2 weeks po yan ng training, may mga live discussion, at mayroon ding mga on-demand webinars tayong natutunan sa leadership core training na ito. And now po, we are officially a climate leader. Meaning, tayo po ay kasama sa global organization ng mga nagkakampanya para sa pagpupursige ng climate justice, just transition, and goal towards a more carbon neutral environment among globally, no? At mamaya po mga kaibigan, mamaya later this day, 2 p.m., no? Samahan niyo po kami kasi makakasama natin ang mga fellow natin na nag-train o mentees para pag-usapan ang tungkol sa kanilang mga naging experience dito sa Climate Reality Leadership Training. Ang uusapan natin, ano ang inyong natutunan? What are your learnings when it comes to the Climate Reality Project? Ay, hindi nakasaksak yung anak ko. Pero mamaya yan, via AKTV, ating Facebook, nakapin naman yan mga kaibigan, no? Ngayong hapon, alas 2 ng hapon via aktv.ph. Mga kaibigan, share natin ulit. Ayan. Ayan. Magkakaroon tayo ng AKTV or ako at Kalikasan TV episode 6 for season 8. Ang topic natin, the Climate Reality Leadership Core Virtual Training Experience. So we will be hosting the event together with our fellow Climate Reality mentees. So we will share to you our experience, ano yung mga natutunan namin, ano yung mga realization at yung mga nakakatakot na mga bagay, no, na nagulantang kami na natutunan dito sa 2 weeks na climate reality leadership training na ito. So yan, pag-uusapan natin later on. Kaya samahan nyo mga kaibigan later 2 p.m. via facebook.com/aktv.ph. At syempre, live din tayo mga kaibigan. Live na live tayo ngayon sa Twitter. You can follow me via Twitter. Twitter.com/Master Pogi PH. Ayan. Pwede pala mag-live sa Twitter. Ngayon ko lang nalaman. At least salamat sa StreamYard. Thank you StreamYard for adding this feature, no? Na pwede na tayo mag-live on Twitter. Ayan, at syempre mga kaibigan, huwag na rin kalilimutan, this October 29 ay meron pong activity. Ito po ay worldwide activity, ladies and gentlemen, and I am inviting you to join. This is the so-called 24 hours of climate reality. 24 hours of reality, let's get real. All you have to do is visit 24hoursofreality.org and register. So, empty promises and corporate, ito basahin natin, empty promises and corporate greenwashing have allowed the climate crisis to worsen, bringing on extreme weather from flooding, rains, to record droughts. Even half-measured commitments have gone unmet, putting us on the short path to a disastrous future. Excuse me po. Our chance to avert the most dramatic temperature increase is rapidly disappearing. Enough is enough. I-share natin na may kasama music with audio. Mas panoorin natin itong video na. Yo sé que dejas cuando entras y sales. ¿Dónde quedaron? I'm not going to report, and I'm a youth climate activist.
My name is Jennifer Linton. I'm in Chicago.
I'm Andy Fish. I'm trained in Sydney.
And I live in New York City.
I'm from Sikkim, a tiny Himalayan state.
Doble yata yung sound. Sandali lang mga kaibigan. Doble yung sound natin. Ulitin lang natin. Ayan maulit. Yan. Rewind natin mga kaibigan. Share natin ulit sa inyo kung ano itong 24 hours of reality.
I'm not going to report, and I'm a youth climate activist.
My name is Jennifer Linton. I'm in Chicago.
I'm Andy Fish. I'm trained in Sydney.
And I live in New York City.
I'm from Sikkim, a tiny Himalayan state in northeastern
My name is
India.
Ine Williams, and I live in Malaysia.
Jaffa, Indonesia.
We need to let everyone know about the climate emergency that we are all in.
I definitely have built an understanding of just how important it is to have reliable access to water.
Climate change has affected the weakest member of our society.
Farmers' fields are flooded and then damaged again by drought in a cycle that increases food insecurity and poverty.
We can solve energy poverty and give people opportunities for economic and social
Every year,
development.
a lot of communities are left hungry, homeless, displaced, and distressed because of the problem most have nothing to do.
We need concrete plans to combat the climate crisis well before 2050.
Not the one that merely slows down the crisis, but something that will stop and reverse
It
it.
is time to act big. It is time to act now.
My message is very simple. Let's get real.
Let's get real.
We need real action.
We need real actions now.
É hora de cair na real. Precisamos de ações reais agora.
Let's get real.
Vamos cair na real.
Tá na hora de cair
Vamos
na real.
cair na real. É hora de cair na real. A gente precisa fazer uma mudança.
It's time to get real. We need real action.
Real action to save humanity.
Liwanag mga kaibigan, we need real actions to save humanity right now. That's why personally, I believe that governance is one big part of that action. We need to have green governance in place right now in 2022 in the Philippines and the rest of the world. So Germany mga kaibigan, in Germany, the Green Party already had increased by triple their membership and their parliament. And now sa Pilipinas, let us vote for green leaders in the national level and the local level. Alamin natin sino ba sa mga kandidatong presidente, vice-presidente, senador, provincial governor, congressman, mayor, vice mayor, board member, municipal councilors, ang kakampi ng kalikasan at kakampi ng mamamayan. At yun po ang ating iboto. Yun po ang lagyan natin ng check sa balota. Sapagkat napaka-importante po nito, no? Napaka-importante mga kaibigan, muli, climate reality. This is the 24 hours of climate, 24 hours of reality campaign. So we are encouraging everyone to please go to 24hoursofreality.org and register. Take action where you live. So Africa, Australia, Brazil, nasaan man kayo, you can take action, join, and be part of this 24 hours of reality. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening on October 29, no? Yeah, 24 hours of reality happening on October 29. 24 hours of reality.org. Yan mga kaibigan. Join 24 Hours of Reality happening on October 29. Go to www.24hoursofreality.org to register and join the various events na ihanda po nila mga kaibigan. October 29 po yan. Huwag natin kalilimutan. Bakit October 29? Sapagkat magsisimula na po ang COP26. Ano po yung COP26? Or yan po ay ang meeting ng iba't ibang bansa, no, para pag-usapan ano ba yung gagawin nila. COP means Conference of Parties. So ang COP26 mga kaibigan is happening this end of October, and finally we are hoping that these countries, the leaders of these countries, will finally decide to cut down emissions. Let's see how can we sabi nga dito, last chance to save the earth. Let's have a brief background there on this. Share natin. Okay, ito mga kaibigan. Share natin.
Back in 1992, more than 150 countries signed a new treaty established by the United Nations. The treaty created a multinational task force that would support the global response to the threat of climate change. Every year, delegations from countries signed up to this convention gather for the Conference of the Parties, more commonly known as COP. So, what happens at COP, and does it really play a key role in the global fight against climate change? Nice wellies.
You like the wellies? I put them on especially for you. Not quite so sure about yours. We don't normally put the wellies on in the countryside till at least October.
Well, these are my city wellies.
Yeah, it shows.
You got the dog as well, so you're a proper country bumpkin.
Well, don't tell everyone. What are we here to talk about? Why do you want to go for a walk?
We're going to talk about COP, and I thought it'd be nice to be out in nature, considering it's an important factor in everything to do with COP.
Well, a very warm welcome to the Ashdown Forest. Should we crack on?
Yes.
It's the Squawk Box Show with Karen Cho, myself, Steve Sedgwick, and these are your headlines.
CNBC's Steve Sedgwick anchors Squawk Box Europe. He's also covered energy for the last 20 years, reporting from both OPEC meetings with the world's biggest oil producers to critical climate conferences such as COP21. I wanted to ask him about the goings-on within COP and its effectiveness in achieving the world's climate objectives.
So, for those of us who haven't been to COP, what's it like?
Stunningly intense. Heads of state in and out, presidents, prime ministers, you've got their enormous entourages, the people who are actually doing a lot of negotiation. You've got action advocates as well, the protesters outside. You've got security operation, which is absolutely enormous. the head of the negotiations in Paris once said to me, and this is Cristiana Figueres, she said to me, it is akin to herding cats. You've got basically all walks of society, all talking about one issue. This is like a G meeting where you have the plethora of global issues. This is one issue. It's all about climate change and affects all parts of society.
A year after the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change came into force, the first COP meeting was held in Berlin, Germany in March 1995. Since then, climate change has gone from a fringe issue to a global priority. Certain COPs have achieved landmark agreements. COP3 in 1997 saw the adoption of the Kyoto Protocol, which legally binds developed country parties to emission reduction targets. And in 2015 at COP21, the Paris Agreement was born, arguably the most significant moment in COP's history. Today, the UNFCCC has near universal membership. The 197 parties, 196 countries plus the European Union, under the convention are treaty-bound to avoid dangerous climate change and find ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions globally.
What was the first COP you reported from?
Well, here's the thing.
So post natin yan mga kaibigan, ipakita natin ano ba yung mga dapat abangan sa COP26. And ipakita natin mga kaibigan, i-share natin itong explainer video from inquirer.net. So wala po tayong copyright infringement intended. We are just showing this for the sake of education on ano po yung COP26 na nangyayari ngayon sa Glasgow. So eto, ano ba yung dapat nating abangan sa COP26?
200 countries will convene in Glasgow, Scotland at the end of October for the COP26 conference to strengthen action against global warming. In the midst of extreme weather events around the world and following a United Nations climate report which warned that global warming was spiraling out of control, the actions of governments at this conference will determine whether it's a success. Here are some of the issues that need to be resolved. 6 years ago in Paris, countries agreed to cut greenhouse gas emissions to limit global warming to 2 degrees Celsius, ideally 1.5. To do this, emissions need to be cut in half by 2030 and reach net zero by mid-century. This year is the deadline for all 191 parties of the Paris Agreement to make steeper emissions cut pledges, called Nationally Determined Contributions or NDCs. However, a UN analysis found that while 113 countries were on track to lower their emissions together by 12%, the available NDCs of all 191 countries equates to a 16% increase in greenhouse gas emissions in 2030. Around 120 countries have submitted revised NDCs, but there is a lack of consistency in plans. Negotiators need to agree upon common timeframes and approaches for future emissions cuts. In 2009, developed countries agreed to raise $100 billion a year by 2020 to help developing nations deal with the impacts of climate change. However, the most recent data from the OECD shows that in 2019, $79.6 billion was raised for vulnerable countries, up 2% from 2018. Not meeting the $100 billion a year goal can break down trust of the climate talks, experts say. A new finance goal needs to be worked out for 2025 onwards. The UK COP26 President Alok Sharma has said he wants this conference to be the one where coal power is consigned to history. The UN has called for phasing out coal by 2030 in OECD countries, but environment ministers from the group of 20 big economies have failed to agree to a timeline. Article 6 of the Paris Agreement covers the role of carbon markets. It calls for robust accounting to avoid double counting of emissions reductions. It also aims to establish a central UN mechanism to trade carbon credits from emissions reductions generated from low-carbon projects. But it has not yet been resolved. Progress on Article 6 broke down at the last talks in 2019 and will need to be addressed.
Ulitin natin mga kaibigan. Muli maraming salamat doon sa video galing sa inquirer.net, no copyright infringement intended. Kaya nga muna sinasabi ko, yung pong COP26 ay mangyayari po yan end of the month. Ngayon na po, no, 27 na. So, 30 ang simula yata niyan sa Glasgow, Scotland. At mahalaga po dyan na magkaroon ng agreement to arrive at carbon neutral by 2030. Kaya nga sa Pilipinas, yung target ng government natin na dapat 30% reduction, ang 30% ang renewable energy by 2030 and then 50% ang renewable energy by 2040. For me, personally po mga kaPOGI, mga kababayan, yan po ay unacceptable. No? Kasi kailangan talaga na by 2030, at least 80% to 100% carbon neutral na po tayo, renewable energy na ating ginagamit. This is a very big shift. Sabihin, napakabilis naman yan. Paano na ating mga existing coal-fired power plant? The truth is, hindi po mag-iintay ang ating kalikasan na tayo ay mag-adjust. So, kailangan tayo ang mag-adjust ng mabilis dito sa mga pangangailangan ginagawa ng kalikasan. So, mayroon po tayong mga kapwa Pilipino na nandyan. Si Marinel Ubaldo, kasama natin, andyan siya. At itong isa pa nating kasama na Pilipino rin na nagpa-fundraising pa rin hanggang ngayon. Sana mga kaibigan ay maging maganda ang kanilang representation dyan. At sana ang Pilipinas ay lakihan pa ang national determined contributions, no? Hindi lang fair share. Kumbaga, maging leader tayo in determining our climate contribution. It's about time, no? Muli mga kaibigan, excuse me ulit, binabati ko naman yung mga kasama natin dyan sa Atimonan, Quezon. Ay, ano kayo ay yan. Tayo po naman ay siyempre taga-Atimonan, Quezon. At sa isa nga pong episode na AKTV din ay atin ding diniscuss yung tinatayong coal-fired power plant dyan naman sa Atimonan, Quezon na mahigpit nating tinututulan. No? We are totally against the coal-fired power plant in Atimonan, Quezon. And likewise, we are against the reclamation project na ginagawa dyan sa Lamon Bay area. So yung ating seawall dyan sa Atimonan, pinapuntahan nating seawall, kinalakihan kong seawall, ay magkakaroon ng reclamation project itong current mayor ng Atimonan. So dapat po mga ka-Atimonanan, yan po ay ating pigilan sapagkat sa totoo lang po, yan po ay will endanger our environment. Hindi po niya matutulungan ng ating bayan. Ang dami pong magandang project na pwedeng gawin. Bakit kailangang i-reclaim yung tabing dagat? Dapat siguro pataasin muli yung seawall na bumaba na kasi tumaas yung tubig. Mas maganda pataasin uli yung seawall o magkaroon ng parang barrier dyan sa Atimonan. Pero yung reclamation ng ating bayan ng Atimonan, lalo na dyan sa Leon Ginto Boulevard, ay we are totally against that. No? Pagbati rin sa mga kasama natin, mga kababayan, dyan sa Bulacan. Siyempre, tayo po ay pinanganak naman sa Malolos at matagal din ang ating nilagi dyan sa Balibag, Bulacan. So, pagbati sa mga kasama natin dyan, especially to the Mayor of Balibag, Bulacan, Mayor Ferdy Estrella, and also to our friend, si former councilor and Peso head Joel Pascual. Binabati rin natin dyan yung dalawang mag-utol na tatakbo daw bilang konsyel ng bayan, si ang mga Dulay, Team Dulay. Yan, kamusta kayo and good afternoon to you. Sana talaga magkaisa tayo sa kalikasan, sa environment, kalikasan muna. Ang mga kasama nating green candidates ay tumatakbo din, no? Dyan sa Liliw, Laguna, kasama natin naman si Dayus Losande. Yan. At syempre sa Mindoro, no? May mga kasama rin tayo dito sa Green Party of the Philippines, Mindoro Greens, na mga kasama natin na green candidates. Kasama po niyan sina Pinky Gahol, Dindo Melaya, Victor Valenzuela, Met Jimenez, Noel Quinson, Frederick Ortega, at Neri Fontanilla. Yan, good luck po sa inyo mga kasama nating green candidates. Siyempre, dyan naman sa Agbilaran na Bohol ay meron din tayong kasama na kinakausap natatakbo namang municipal mayor, cities, yung city mayor. Diyan din po sa Las Piñas ay mayroon din tayong kinakausap na green candidate. So ang aim po natin dito talaga is to push for the environmental sector and green candidates in this 2022 elections kasi we do not have enough time, mga kaPOGI. No? So ayun po, maraming salamat pa rin mga kaibigan sa patuloy na inyong pagsuporta at pagtulong sa atin. So ibibida ko lang konti yung ginawang napakagandang icon, no, ng ating kasama na si Neil Jose, idea niya to. Pero syempre, ang tinulungan naman sa pagdidesign ng aking napakasipag at mapag-intinding anak. Lagi tayo iniintindi. Yan, eto share ko lang sa inyo, kaPOGI, ang ating icon na ginawa ng aking ng mga kasama. Ayan, sana. Kamukha ko daw. Ano sa palagay nga, mga kaPOGI? What can you say? Ayan. Yan. Yan pong symbol na yan ay syempre ang ating kampanya for Extinction Rebellion. Ayan po. Yan. Extinction Rebellion. Kalikasan muna. Ayan pa. Yan. Ayan po ang ating Extinction Rebellion campaign. Ayan. Hindi kasama yan. Color palette. Ayan. Di ba? So, ayan ang ating Extinction Rebellion campaign. Of course, maraming salamat din po sa mga tumutulong sa atin, no? At nag-donate, no? Magdo-donate ng ating pin sa aking Sir Raymond Aglipay. Maraming salamat for your ang tawag ba doon? Commitment to donate our pin. So, ito po yung ating pin na ilalabas. Ayan. Ang ating Extinction Rebellion pin. Ayan. So, malapit na po. Abangan ninyo. So, pwede nyo isuot yan saan man kayo magpunta. Tatak ng ating paglaban sa mangyayaring extinction sa ating planeta. Tatak ng ating paikisa sa laban ng ating inang kalikasan. Abangan nyo yan, mga kaibigan, ang ating Extinction Rebellion pin. And again, maraming salamat for joining us today. Magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat, sa lahat po na nanonood, makapanood pa ng ating Pogi Problems. Matagal din tayong hindi nakapagsama-sama at nakapagbalitaktakan. At syempre, check natin yung ating share ko pala sa inyo bago ako umalis, no? TikTok, sinagot natin, no? Yung ng isang TikToker kung ano daw yung ating gagawin kapag tayo naman ay nanalo. So, check natin. Hindi ko alam kung may iba pang sumagot dun sa tanong niya. Tingnan natin. Mukhang tayo lang yung sumagot, pero I am not discounting the ano. So, eto, interview niya, I will share to you the interview of let's ayan, share natin mga kaibigan. Here you
Let's
go.
have a quick TikTok.
David
Sa ating mga senatorial aspirants.
David
mga senatorial aspirants.
BLM Senator.
Let's have a quick TikTok interview. Tagya sila. Okay, so let's start. In one sentence, describe yourself.
I'm an environmentalist, a cosplayer, a host, a single dad, and a very active leader.
Okay, so second, kung palaring kayo at manalo kayo, ano ang unang batas na isusulong nyo sa Senado?
First and foremost would be a climate emergency bill which includes things like this.
Okay, last. Bago kayo sumabak sa politika, nakapaglingkod na ba kayo sa bayan? Kung oo, paano?
Yes, of course, I had served in many capacity through various organizations, including campaign for the renewable energy bill, passage of the Bangsamoro peace agreement, and sustainable development. So since I think for 30 years now, since I graduated in high school, so I think I deserve to be voted.
Sa ating mga senatorial aspirants.
Senator.
Nakabit tayo. Ayan mga kaibigan, nakita naman ninyo yung sagot natin sa isang TikTok post ng ating kababayan, no? I hope sagutin din ng ibang senatorial boards at pansinin din yung mga karaniwang taong nagtatanong sa atin. Sagutin po natin sila. Let's be approachable to our kababayan. So, syempre, hindi lang tayo online at may mga gagawin din tayong activity. And guys, before I go today, let me invite you to those who want to join the Pasig Heritage Walk. Ito, I am inviting you guys to join on, this would be on this coming Sunday, October 31. It's the Pasig River Heritage Walk, not to Pasig River Expressway. So I am personally inviting you to join the group of Renacimiento Manila and other organizations. So it will be a barter tour. So 31 October 31, 2021 Sunday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Ang kitaan po ay sa Plaza Loton, tapos pupunta sa Post Office Building, Plaza Moraga, Plaza Santa Cruz, Calle Escolta, at marami pang iba. So magsama-sama po tayo. It is a barter tour. Pay any amount that you can to help this campaign. So for those who would like to send inquiries, please visit the Facebook page of Rebirth Manila. So on Facebook at Rebirth Manila, on Instagram at rebirth.manila, and on Twitter, Rebirth Manila. So let's join hands and ating pasiglahin, ating protektahan ang Pasig River. Sabi nga, hashtag #NoToParex, hashtag Ilog Pasiglahin. So maraming salamat mga kaibigan, and please continue to protect our environment. Pakalagaan po natin ang ating kalikasan sa ating mga sariling kakayahan din. Simulan po natin sa ating sarili at sa ating bahay. At mahalin po natin ang ating sarili, ang ating pamilya, ang ating kapwa, komunidad at ang bayan. Magandang tanghali po. Yan, kain po tayo ng masarap at ingat po tayo balagi. Keep safe and God bless you all. See you again next time again for Pogi Problems. Bye-bye!